Thursday. Happy Thursday. Hopefully you can hear me. I did not do a test yet. And I really wanted to get on time today, but I think I'm like 2 minutes late. It's like 11:02 or something like that. Close enough. Close enough. Okay. Hi. Center myself real quick. And we'll get started. Actually, I'm gonna grab my phone because I'm doing some hand sanitize today. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a full hour stream or not. We'll just play it by ear. But I am planning to do some mobility and stretching combo exercises today. So, again, mostly focusing, I think, on my handstand. I've had a little bit of tension in my lower back, still sleeping in like really weird positions or like waking up on top of extra pillows and stuff. And I think, like I said, my body's still getting calibrated to like new space. And yeah, I don't know, I think, with muscle memory, we tend to sleep in the same sort of positions and things like that, and then moving into a different space for my setup is different. I don't have the same way to lay about. I do, but I don't because I moved it a little bit. So, yeah, I'm gonna grab my phone, do a quick little brain dump of what's going on in my head right now. That'll make things a little more clear as I go through today's Body Thinks Thursday exercises. Yeah. Back of journey down the hall is so long. Okay. So, what's been going on? I've been streaming. I think I streamed every day I was supposed to this week. Because it's Thursday. I streamed Sunday, I streamed Monday. Both days I streamed later, I believe, than my stream time, but keeping my own philosophy at play. It's better to continue to do it even if it's late rather than to say, oh, I missed it and, better luck next time. But my body has been asking me to do exercises when I'm not. I mentioned that a couple of days ago about me wanting to do Mobility Monday because when I was just moving around I noticed that it wasn't working the way I want and the way it should. And that was just my body reminding me that Mobility Monday has made a difference, does make a difference. She wants to go outside. I'm gonna look out real quick. Okay. So yeah. What's been going on with me is, for starters, I have a lot going on. Same stuff. Has anything new popped up? Kind of. Mostly just things that, I've mentioned Maslow's hierarchy and the fact that if you are trying to get to the top of, let's say, your pyramid, for lack of a better analogy, it's a lot harder to do when you don't have a foundation or when there's holes in your foundation. Because those holes you might be falling into, or those holes might be causing, you have a lower or longer journey to travel. And sometimes it can make it impossible for you to keep going up if you just simply don't have the leverage to get there. And so, in terms of Maslow's hierarchy, that's our foundation. If you're into chakra work, energy work, your root chakra, the things that ground you and make you feel stable. The United States has a very large homeless problem. A lot of people are, they say it's because of, the economy and how much money people make and inflation and all of that. And I obviously, that's true mathematically. You can't have, someone that's in their 80s saying that the reason why you don't own certain large items or have certain lifestyle options is because you didn't make the right choices when you were younger. When, it's a fact that just your money literally doesn't get used far. You could get, a college degree, working a real regular, 9-to-5 job and not have to go into tons and tons of debt. Whereas now, even if you have the time availability to go to school full-time and work full-time, minimum wage would never be enough to cover your college tuition. And that's assuming that you didn't have any bills, like living expenses and stuff while you're in school. So, our system is set up to have the older generations that are more or less in charge of passing down their laws and making changes for the younger generations, holding a standard that most of them didn't reach themselves. And, as they say, it's that pipe dream, like, well, this is the method, and it worked for some people, so it's a method that'll work for you. And, the reality of the situation when you live in a country like the United States or when you live in competitive areas like Seattle is that people don't care about the benefit of the whole if it doesn't make their particular outcome more beneficial. So for example, a lot of people want to make more money, and that's cool, right? They need money to be able to buy the things they just survive. But if you don't have, actually, this is where my head is at right now, because I was having a lot of attacks, like a lot, and I don't like to get on to socials and Twitch and talk about these things for a couple of reasons. And I think today would be a good day to kind of dive into why that is and what the results of me staying silent has cost me and why I am choosing to be a little more vocal about what's going on in my life. So for those of you that don't know already, I have a teaching certificate from Washington State. I've been teaching in Washington State since 2011 legally. Obviously, when you're in uni, you have to do practicums and do different courses and work with students throughout your college career, and then you get your official degree and certificate once you graduate. But growing through the system, literally, right, going from being in the system as a teenager in public school through university back into a public school setting, but this time as a teacher. You kind of see a lot of things from different angles, and when you're someone like me who doesn't necessarily have the most traditional route towards becoming a teacher, I think it's beneficial because you get to kind of see where the pitfalls were in your learning career and how to fill those holes for the people coming after you. And so one of the things that I experienced growing up as a student in this area is the competition, right? So it is the competition of people wanting what you have, right? And I think that's good, that's healthy. Like we reach goals because we see something that we want, and it kind of gives us a blueprint, an idea of what's possible. But the competitiveness of these things is such that sometimes people would rather say that they have achieved something over someone else that is more qualified or more prepared And honestly, this is perception, but factual as well, better fits for certain things. And so, when I was in high school, I, like I said, didn't have a close relationship with my family, so I spent a lot of time at school just trying to basically live through the experiences that I had outside of my home, which I'm so grateful for because I grew up in a very diverse area. I was able to experience a lot of different households, and that's part of the reason why I've never been much of a materialistic person, because, and this is just my opinion now, obviously I don't like to put words in people's mouths, and part of the reason why this stream is titled Confirmation Bias is I don't want to make people think things just because it's how I perceive them. But I did everything I was supposed to do in school. I don't want to say people made fun of me because I just truly didn't pay attention to other people's opinions. Like, I grew up in a household where the truth and my happiness were irrelevant to whatever anybody else wanted to have going on, and it could be for good or bad, right? And so it's kind of like you have to put your own feelings and desires aside for the whole, which in this case, the whole was my family. That was, not as picturesque as people would think, but people in these situations, in my community, looking in to my life, not knowing what I'm experiencing, might say, oh, she has a mother and a father. My parents didn't get divorced until my final years of high school, so everybody saw my parents as married. And obviously, a whole family, when you're in a community where that isn't as common. Not to say that it wasn't. A lot of the people that I was friends with, whose houses I visited, maybe that was a natural gravitation to want to be around that. But their families, they had families that were still together. And that was how I was able to know the difference between what looks good and what is good. Because I would have my peers, say, oh, you've got a nicer house comparatively. You've got two parents who are financially stable as it would appear, and these things. But the amount of love and community and relationship and family feeling, I never felt those things inside my own home like I did inside of the peers, friends' homes that would presumably have less than me. And I do mean that, and it's a cultural thing as well, because, you grow up in America, it's like, if you don't have a bed, then that means you're poor. But in other countries, the bed looks different, so it might look like, oh, you don't have a bed, but really it's just the way that you sleep. Maybe you use, mats, or marble, or, whatever the case may be. So I'm looking into these, one-bedroom, two-bedroom apartments with families living in them, and I don't know what they're thinking I'm thinking. But in my mind, I'm like, wow, you guys are all here together, you're all talking, you have jokes that you share with each other, you know about each other's lives, and you're telling each other the truth about your lives. You're not just sharing the bits that make you sound good, or sharing the bits that you think will make somebody else feel like they need to respond a certain way. And so that's why I never really felt privileged. I won't say privileged, I never felt ungrateful, that's for true. I never felt like my situation was better in those terms, because again, there's certain things that you can experience. The reason why people want to make money is to have their environment and their experiences reflect a certain lifestyle or whatever. And so I watch people say, oh, money and clothes and materialistic things is the goal, and that, and they go, oh my gosh, you have this, you have that, and there's this and that, and then I'm looking over here and I'm like, wow, you guys are talking to each other. Like, I can't work really hard to make that happen in my life. That's not something I can personally do. Whereas making money or, achieving a position, getting into university or whatever the case. This fan is like blowing right in my face and I turn it on. What's that? Okay, so why am I saying this? I'm saying this because I grew up in Seattle. I was born in Seattle. I have all of my primary relationships from the area, and so I have my perception of how people see me, but I don't know. I just kind of have an idea, and then I have what is passed to me through other people about. People say, oh, she thinks she's this, or they think that is, and then it turns into, this is how they actually are, this is how they actually feel. And so hanging out with different people that say they are people that have lighter color skin, white people, right? If you're hanging out with someone that has white skin, and you are coming from a community of people that don't, and they are uncomfortable around people that have white skin, their perceptions of those people, instead of saying, oh, this is how I feel about those people, and I'm going to keep us separate from you, they say, this is how I feel about those people, and if you talk to those people, then that must mean you are like those people. If you think the way those people think, and you agree with what those people do and say or whatever, right? Not even actually knowing those people, but just having like this preconceived idea of what it is to associate with other people. And saying the word other when you're talking about white people is interesting because it's like the isolation that people will put themselves into in my community to say that they aren't a part of something is literally intentional. You went to this place and it had all of these white people there, and you must feel this way and think this way because you weren't uncomfortable in that situation. And it's like, well, one, you have no idea how I feel. Two, there are white people in the world, and the fact that you refuse to put yourself in these situations because you assume you know how they're going to act or feel or think or be is part of the reason why there's a miscommunication happening. Because you're too afraid to even learn or see or experience or try to know if there are any differences in your life or whatever the case may be. And so by the time I got to high school, there was a very prominent perception of me, and it's just my idea based off of how I interacted with people and what people would bring back to me because of my interactions with people that were different from me. And it was always like, you don't like this type of person, and by this type of person I mean like people that look like me, and you do want to hang out or be with people that are different from you, which means that's why you don't want to hang out with yourself, me, and I've never had that perception. It's like, and I don't say want to hang out, I'm gonna hang out with everybody that's different from me, first of all, because what? But it's kind of like, you can't love yourself and be different from other people around you in your mind. Like, I don't understand that. Like, I was saying that in order to hang out with somebody, you have to agree with everything that they say, you have to have the same opinions as them, and all of that, and disown anything else outside of that if that's who you associate with or who you choose to talk to that day or whatever. And that's literally the logic. It's like, well, you don't like these people because you're hanging out with these people. And it's like, but I love myself. And in fact, I tried my hardest to make sure I am myself as authentically as I can be around people that are different from me for that reason, so that they have the chance to get the experience of someone that's different without this bias of you must believe, think, behave, want these things because of your outward appearance. Right? So I started learning that at a younger age because it impacted my ability to achieve my goals. A lot of my goals involved like elections. I was class president. Being voted to do certain things requires community and being known. And so I have to make active interactions with people to find out how they think. And it didn't take me very long once I took on these leadership positions in my school to recognize that everybody in these groups are the same. They're saying the same things, they're wanting the same things, they're materialistic, they're not materialistic, they like sports, they like music, whatever the case may be. But they're all holding these beliefs that the other, right, the punk music kids or the athletic kids or, whatever the case may be, they all want to have happy lives, right? Those are baselines of what makes them happy. Most of these things are the same. And we have these minute differences of how we perceive each other based off of what other people are afraid to interact with, but not with what they actually know. And that was something I learned through experience, not something that I picked up in a book that someone told me over time, or that's something that somebody said. It sounded good, and that's, what a religious text says you must accept everyone, and, it is something I lived through being in Russian households, Bosnian households, Korean households, and the list goes on, right? But they're all the same. They're all the same. And it's just a matter of recognizing that the baseline of human happiness, Maslow's hierarchy, is something that most of us will agree on. Like 99%. When we get so caught up in, well, this person listens to this kind of music, and that music has these kinds of lyrics, and that those lyrics represent this to me. And there's like the American flag debate I have had with my own, I won't say family, my father's wife tried to tell me that the American flag is a symbol of oppression and division and all of these things, and I'm like, that's literally not how flags work. Like, you just decided that that's how you feel when you look at a flag, and so now anybody else that associates themselves with the country that they're from, which, sorry, but you have to do that when you're born in a country, you associate it with it. And it's just like these weird psyop-y things where it's like somehow these people from one or two people from one group who hold this idea that they want to make it the reason why it's okay to other people, the reason why it's okay to say somebody deserves to be treated differently, or it's okay to not give someone the same respect because, oh, look, this one thing, and you know what that one thing means, right? And it's like, no, actually, that's your interpretation of that one thing. And even if that's how you feel, maybe you have really valid experiences, if you can't speak for a nation, the fuck? Like, and that's like literally politics, right? Like, it's just like these smaller scales of what the real world turns into. Where we have people debating whether or not it's offensive to have a flag, because at some point in somebody's life, they decided that though every country has a flag, every team, whatever the case may be, has a flag, this one particular flag, the meaning no longer is just that because of what? Right? Like, it's very hard for me to comprehend how people come to these conclusions because I don't know, I try to have conversations actually with her about that, and it was like, it turned into a, how can I make you agree that the American flag is a symbol of hate? Like, it's a symbol of the country, and your perception of the country is your perception of the country. But if it says America on it, you can't say that word means hate. Because that's how you feel when you see it. That's you, your experience, and you're trying to change the overall meaning of something because of you and your experience. I don't know. Etymology too, right? When we think about like the word gay, that's like that word supposed to mean happy, and then it became code for same-sex relations, and then it became code for making fun of people that are into same-sex relations, and now that word is like, oh, can you say it, can you not say it, can you say it, can you not say it? The definitions have been there and people evolve them over time. But we have to agree as a whole that that is how we're going to move forward with that. And so agreeing as a whole to just turn something into something bad because it can be like, you literally, like, people say, oh, that's a quote from Hitler, and it'll be like, and I don't even want to bring that up because, like, obviously, there's a lot of social media attention, like, bringing up certain religions and stuff, and I have no problem with any religion, guys, I'm an communist, I don't even believe in organized religion. I don't believe that we currently, as humans on planet Earth, have the proper access to the information that in its original form. And if you think we do, then you just don't understand how history works. But there's no such thing as the truth, the full story when you're looking for the evidence. Well, it's been hidden, it's been destroyed, it's been rewritten on purpose. But if you pay attention to all of the religions, and that sounds pompous, I don't know anything about all the religions, you try to pay attention to religions, you start to notice that a lot of them are saying the same things. And you pick out those things, they tend to be the good things that we can all agree on. And the things that are a little different or a little off, maybe, just maybe, those are the areas that were altered, are debatable, should be considered, right? But being a good person, treating people out, you want to be treated. They're like the elementary school rules that people decide are religious tools for power and control of others. And then they use shame to try and make you feel like you're not worthy of even being accepted or of being looked at as someone who could potentially help other people because of power and perception. And people take advantage of religion for power. And again, it comes back to that, like, shaming and trying to confirm these ideas that individuals hold. For what reason, right? So that you can personally feel like you've interpreted something and it makes sense to you personally. Or should the goal be to interpret things so that it makes sense as a whole? Like, are we trying to mold the world into what we want for ourselves specifically, or into what will work and be best for the whole? As a teacher, I work with people who have all sorts of skills, and you know, you have teachers who say, you get these sort of grades, it means you're smart. You have other teachers that say you have these sort of skills, you're gonna be successful. And we have to recognize that the world does not work because we all have the same set of skills. The world does not work because we all have the same learning abilities or interests or passions. It works because we don't. And if I was good at basketball, yuck. If I was good at basketball, I would have played basketball, but that's not me, And I'm okay with that. I don't know, man. It's just, I feel like I'm all over the place mentally right now because I have people I've known my whole life literally telling me things about myself that are not true. And I'm like, how is it possible that someone can be so confident that they know my thoughts and my views and my goals without ever speaking to me about them directly, and then come to find out that the information that they receive is coming from someone who has their perception of the world is so far off from mine that to take any information from them without me to begin with is disservice to the world. But now you've developed an opinion about a person that is quite literally the opposite of the truth. And you say you know somebody and you wonder why it would be so easy for someone that you know to be convinced of something about you that isn't true without ever speaking to you about it, and to be so confident in the knowledge that they have about you to alter the way that they interact with you for the negative without ever speaking to you about it. And I do mean about these direct things because, again, it comes with this sort of interpretation. You listen to country music, so you must be a supporter of Donald Trump. What? Pretty sure country music existed before I knew who Donald Trump was. Am I supposed to now say, because somebody might associate that style of music with a particular person who has a history all over the place, it's changed the way I have to be perceived by people in an area and community where I have proven and shown myself time and time again. And there are things that if you simply open your mouth and ask the question, bring the topic up, you will get your answer. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not saying I think everyone should think like me, but I am happy to have conversations about it because that is why I like to hang out with people that are different from me. We learn from each other, we grow from our differences, and you can't be confident in what you know if you haven't observed and tried to take in as much information as you can. I mean, people they say, oh, the black community this, and the black community that, and it's like, did you know that happens in this community, this community, this community, this community, this community, this community, and this community? And if you take 1 second to stop being so fucking self-centered and say this is happening to us, this is only happening to us, you could come together with the people that have also had those experiences and work together to say, look, we have all had these experiences, fuck this experience, instead of saying, this is the black experience and you have no idea what it's like, and you're isolating yourself and you're making it so people feel like they can't relate to you, and when they want to, and when they do, and when they try, you want to shame them and say they're culture vultures, or they're trying to gentrify your ideas, or whatever the case may be, and it's like, you're literally kicking to the face saying that that's not what you're looking for. I don't know. Like, you want diversity. You want to be accepted. You want people to see you for you. You want to be treated or seen as equal. And then the moment you have a representative that's doing the work, that's interacting with different people, that has new connections, that has shown you through their life that these assumptions, these ideas, these concepts you have about other cultures aren't true, you say that the only reason why that person has had those interactions is because that's not who they really are, and they're lying and they're pretending. I just don't understand it, you know? Like, what am I supposed to do? Pretend like I agree when I get along with people that I don't. Talk about them behind their back as if there will always be other, I will always be other, there will never be a solution, there can never be any sort of harmony. And then come back and say, hey, hi friend, the Black community loves you, please accept us. What? Listen, like what? It's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. So yeah, I have a lot of people financially coming for me right now. It's just, and it's about being selfish, non-team players. What is your end goal? People say, again, they want a happy life, materialistic things, their end goal. They want this position because it's going to make them have the things that they want. But this position can't exist if the system has fallen apart. These communities can't thrive if they can't trust. I don't know how you can trust when you put in the work and you do everything that people say they want to do, and then they attack you for doing it. They attack you for being successful at it. They attack you for showing you that it's possible. They have people that are literally trying to make it so that I have nothing. I mean, they fired me from my job, officially now, so now I have to go to court to fight in legal battle, like financially putting myself in, like, because of what? Because of what? What is your goal? What is the goal? Because you removed me from a position in order to achieve what? What have you achieved with this? It's not. You can't just go in and be like, you know what? The person that knows how these things function together, they showed us that it's possible. Now we know it's possible. Fuck them. We can do it too. You can do it too, but you can't throw everything away and say, now that we know it's possible, let's figure it out in the way it wasn't working. So yeah, I'm now having to have legal battles, which is the law. Like, I don't get involved with the law. I don't know how the law works because I am the type of person that understands how to not get into that situation to begin with. I don't have to worry about what happens when you're in jail if I don't go to jail, right? So I'm thinking, here are the facts, here's the evidence, here's the documentation, the numbers, confirmations, boom, they're lying. HR is allowed to be wrong legally if that's what it says on paper. But it's like, no, HR says that you have a problem, that you are the problem, and therefore we're going to remove you and all of the work that you've done that no one else has done, literally that no one else has done. It's, we'll just throw somebody else in there and it'll be, and you have to really stop and think to yourself, like, it's a team effort. You're on a team and you're thinking, okay, like, do I just say, fuck this team, I can find a better team, I'm gonna go play for a better team, or do you say, this is my team, and I can't let somebody come in and fuck it up. That's Seattle. We had a team before you got here, bro. And people just want to come in and fuck it up. Like, oh, now that I know it's possible, I'm gonna try and do it this way. But maybe it was possible because it was done that way. And maybe the reason why the pyramid exists is because they have the foundation. Like, no, let me just take out the foundation and I'm gonna do it my way. So I have my family members still trying to convince people that I'm not safe to be around children. Again, what those reasons are, if you straight up say, what is the actual, factual, what happened, they will say to you, she's mentally unstable, she doesn't have consistent behavior, she's irresponsible, she's mean, she's violent, and then when you ask them for proof of what these things are, the only thing that they can ever say or do is rumors, perception, no fact. No fact. And I've had people tell me that I'm dysregulated and I'm clearly showing signs of being bipolar because I'm expressing an emotion. An emotion. One. A valid one that makes sense in the environment and the situations that I'm in, but no, you have an emotion and I want your position and I see that if I call out this thing that can be used against you in another light perception that somebody else is trying to reflect negatively, I'll be able to outshine you or look more stable, more versed in mental health. How can you teach about mental health and quite literally show and display your discrimination towards people that have mental health differences? As HR, if someone does have a diagnosis and they're presenting you with information of discrimination and harassment and an investigation is taken and you do calls and interviews with several people and it's documented, and then you go to court years after the harassment and abuse have escalated to these people trying to get me fired, now you say, well, those reports didn't exist. And they're clearly crazy because look how mad they are. They don't know how to control their emotions because look, they're angry. Are you teaching about mental health, or are you trying to create an experiment? Because the answer is confirmation bias. You create a situation where someone who's very educated on paper and experience-wise in various forms of mental health comes with information to help and to grow, and who is showing you with results that it is possible, that it can be done, that yes, you may think I'm crazy and unable to function, but here I am, not only doing my job, doing it better than most, getting things done, getting contracts with international airports, just so you can come in and say, well, they got mad. They deleted their information. And since they've been diagnosed with a mental health issue, They're not allowed to have an emotion. We have been taught by our health teachers that have clearly helped us that if you express emotion, there's something wrong. I'm sorry, but we have mental health issues because people don't know how to properly express what is going on with their mental health. If someone's trying to express it and you're suppressing it and then telling them that it's a lie, literally lying in court and saying that these things don't exist under the guise of this person is mentally unstable and therefore everything they're saying is you shouldn't trust it. So you're trying to convince other people that someone is unfit for their job because they are angry, because you are lying and hiding information about harassment. And then confirmation bias comes in when that person says, this is a fucked up situation, HR is ass old, doesn't know how to use the internet, doesn't understand how files work, doesn't understand that it's already been documented. I should be able to go to court with this. I'm confident that you're wrong. I have been doing my job for a long enough time to know that what I'm doing is helping, what I'm doing is making a difference, is what I'm supposed to be doing, is what I was trained to do, is why the fuck I exist in a school system to be a teacher, to teach, whether that's children or adults. So trying to create a problem so that you can say, see, I was right, is confirmation bias. And this is the school system we're talking about. We're talking about a system that fuels a city, that fuels the fucking world, you guys. These are regular situations. We're not talking about some petty, oh, she wants to have the corner classroom. I don't give a fuck about any of that. The selfishness of, I just want to be able to go on that field trip. I just want to be able to say that I have that lunch schedule. Listen to yourselves. You're trying to have an entire wiped out. For what benefit? Who's going to benefit from the decision? I don't know. So yeah, I have people that are trying to say that I'm not mentally capable of taking care of myself or others or being around school. Like I can't be around schools right now. Like they're treating me like a fucking pedophile. Like I literally cause physical or psychological harm to children. That's how they want me to be perceived by the world. Legally, I'm now going to have to go to court. Because this already happened in the school district, right? They have these arbitrary, and again, I don't know about the law because I just know what if you break the law, you broke the law. If you didn't break the law, you didn't break the fucking law. So here I am looking at the laws I didn't break and going, well, judge, here's the data from their system, and they're saying, no, that's not. That's not. Like, what? This is really happening, you guys? Is this normal? Like, I don't have people to talk to about this anymore because everyone has literally turned against me, claiming I'm things I'm not, refusing to have a single conversation with me about any of it. And then the moment we have a conversation, if one presents itself, which has only been legally, I'm literally gaslit. And I don't like the word gaslit because it's just like, it's a current like slang term for bitch. You don't have the facts. The facts are literally here in black and white, archived forever. And you're saying that, no, she has a mental health issue, she's lying, don't believe her. And they did. they removed me from my position because HR said that I didn't send them anything, that they didn't have any papers for me, no communication. I wasn't all of the complaints that I made, the documentation that I had, the work that I put in, evidence of me being more than capable of doing my job. They just say, no, you've been diagnosed with a mental health issue, and therefore everything you say must be false. This is a system, we're a team, and we're working together. Who is benefiting from this decision? Because I know who didn't like me, I know who wanted my position, I know who talked shit about me. I know who I intimidated for the reasons why I intimidated them. Which is crazy. I don't understand how you can be around someone that's exhibiting skills and strengths in areas that you're supposed to be good at. And instead of being happy and excited that they're there, you feel like you're being attacked. Again, it's a team sport. If you're the best player on the team and you're making all the points for your team, and then somebody else comes along and they do that better than you, and I'm not saying that's me, are you really mad at that person? Please tell me, because I don't know. I really don't know. I've never been, I hesitated when I said never. I liked the way that felt, so I said I never. I cheered for a cheerleading competition, competitive cheerleading team, Northwest Elite, when competitive cheerleading was really getting down and dirty, like back in the day, and the girls that were the Flyers were so good. They were so good. And I remember, because I'm coming from my school where I'm the best, and I'm thinking to myself, oh man, I'm gonna work my way up, I'm gonna be there. And the moment I got on that team, I saw those girls and I was like, there's no fucking way I will ever be better than them. Not this season. And I was proud. Because I was like, yo, you guys are better than me. You know, that felt good. It sucked to know, but it didn't at the same time, because it's like, yo, you're better than me, and you're on my team, and we're on a team together, and that's my Flyer. You know? Some people probably looked at it and they're just like, well, if I'm the best person on the team, then their jersey gets sold the most, and I make the most money, and I have the most fans, and I have the most popularity, and so it's fine, right? Some people just care about what they look like on the team. And they don't really care about what the team